Hey guys, it is finally time that I have put together the ultimate video, how to become a multimillionaire today in 2026, starting with $0. This is the number one question that I get is it's impossible to do this today. If you're born or graduate from high school today in 2026, you'll never become a millionaire. It's far too late for you. Your time has, you weren't born in the correct decade. And guys, that is absolutely false. If you are not familiar with me or my channel, I have about 160 videos out there of tracking my net worth every single month from the time I was 18 until today, where I'm 31, and I have a net worth of $2.1 million. And I've only worked a W-2 job this whole entire time, just like you. So I'm going to walk you through things like the job, what school that you need to go to, what your degree needs to be in, what kind of car to purchase, some rules when buying a car, the biggest purchase of your life, probably a house, and how to invest. And some of these 5 pillars will truly help you become a millionaire in the next 10 years. So stick with me here. We're going to assume ourselves in the position of a person that has zero income, zero savings. They just graduated from high school. They're 18 years old. They are not super smart. They're not, 160 IQ individual that can get a job at NASA overnight and make $300,000 a year. They're not an NFL football player. This is the normal person, just like me. I am not super smart. I'm not super talented, but I've done fairly well for net worth in the last 13 years. So if you're 40 or 30 or however old and you're not 18, just think of yourself in the position of somebody that has nothing, starting from absolute scratch. So, again, we're going to cover the job, your degree, car, house, your investment portfolio, things like that. So, jumping into pillar number one, which is your job. So, when I turned 18 years old, what I did was look for companies within a 10 to 20-mile radius of where I live. I did not want to drive an hour or 2 hours every single day, multiple times a day. I found a job at a decent sized company that paid a decent wage, more than minimum wage. It was about 1.5 times minimum wage at the time. So today that might be $20 an hour. And I worked at the age of 18 and I worked full time, 40 hours a week. I actually worked 60, 70, 80 hours a week because they gave me the opportunity. But I worked at that company and started to get experience. And the main benefit of that company was they paid for my tuition. Yes, there are companies out there that will 100% pay for your college tuition. Again, I'm the average person. I was not smart enough to get scholarships like the geniuses out there. So I had zero scholarships going through school. I went to school from 7 a.m. to maybe noon, and then I would work from 2 p.m. until about midnight each day, Monday through Friday of the week. And then I'd volunteer for overtime on Saturday and Sunday because I'm 18 years old and I had nothing else to do and wanted to make the extra income. But this is the moral of the story here is find a big company to work for. I know it may not be your forever job, but it is significantly better than going to work at a mom and pop place that let's say they pay $15 an hour, but you've got to distribute all of that money just to pay for your college tuition. It's not worth it. So here's what I've done. If I were to start over in this category today, this would be my strategy. But hey, we've got AI, we've got better mechanisms than I had 13 years ago when I was in this position. So here's what I've done. I have built a list of about 40 companies out there that have the highest median salary per employee. So you can see here, NVIDIA is at the top. They, on average, pay their employer $265,000 a year. So take a minute, pause the video here. Maybe you identify, you see, oh, there's a Tesla location right down the street from me, or an IBM. Look at this list and see if you have any of these companies in your local area and start spamming applications. You're going to have to start at the very bottom of it, probably something in production. But guess what? As soon as you get hired on, you get access to all of the benefits at the company. They're going to pay for your tuition. You're going to get paid time off. You're going to have 401k, health insurance, all that good stuff. Maybe you can get hired on $20 to $25 an hour, which would be fantastic. But here's what I would do with this chart. I would look for companies that have the largest median salary and the biggest workforce. So, for example, Microsoft. They have 215,000 employees at Microsoft that on average make 195. There is going to be so much opportunity at Microsoft that you're going to have a hard time in 5 to 10 years not making $195,000 a year. It is pretty difficult to get on at Microsoft, so I've even included the how difficult it is to get on here. But hey, let's come down the list. Maybe there's no Microsoft around you. There's nothing around me for Microsoft. But maybe there's an IBM. IBM on average pays 138 per employee. They have 280,000 employees and they're a 3.7 out of 5 in terms of difficulty to get hired on. All you need to do is get one job, one starting job at any one of these companies, and that is completion of step one. You now have $20 to $25 an hour coming in. You have zero expenses going out for tuition, and you're completely avoiding student loan debt. And that is exactly what I did. It took me about 5 years to get my bachelor's degree, but at the end of 5 years, I had my engineering degree, I had a business degree, and now I check that box for having a degree. And speaking of that, moving on to pillar number two is your degree. And so I would try to find something at in today we have to be aware that AI is a threat out there and may take some jobs in the future. So the top 5 most resilient positions right now are nursing, skilled trades, management, cybersecurity, accounting and CPA kind of work, and data and ML engineering. And so I would avoid degrees like liberal arts. That hasn't changed in the past 15 years. Maybe business administration degrees, communication degrees, paralegal degrees, things that are probably highly likely to get taken over by I would try to avoid. So step number 3 is the vehicle. So the best thing that I have personally seen for vehicles, and I have to say what I did as well. I purchased a vehicle when I was 19 years old, and I did not have the money saved up to pay for that vehicle in cash. I financed the vehicle and put a 20% down payment. I financed it on 3 years, and it was about $230 a month for me to have that car. I had it for about 5 years, and it was a good, reliable vehicle. The money guy show does a fantastic job on this pillar. And I coach a lot of people and give advice to a lot of people that are just graduating from high school. And this is the number one thing I see, not just in high school, students, but college students, even people in their 40s and 50s today are obsessed with their car. They've got to have an Escalade. They've got to have a Tahoe. They've got to have a $90,000 vehicle that's going to depreciate in value. And then, I ask them, they they drive 90 minutes one way to work, an hour and a half, and they spend 3 hours a day in their car in their Tahoe that gets 8 miles to the gallon and cost them $95,000 for their Tahoe. And they fast forward in 5 years, that Tahoe has 200,000 miles on it and is worth like $30,000. So please, this is something that you may have to sacrifice on a little bit. I wish that we could all press a button and press the easy button and all of us just have to work one job and be able to have everything that we wanted and still become multimillionaires today. But it is getting more and more difficult all of the time. And we've got to start to crunch back on some things and be more diligent on things like the vehicle. Think of something like a Honda Civic, a Honda Accord, a Toyota Corolla. Those are honestly the top cars that millionaires drive today. If you've read the some of the millionaire books out there, Dave Ramsey did a study of millionaires as well, and those were the top 3 cars that millionaires typically drive. They get 40 miles to the gallon. They run 300,000 miles easily, and you can find a used Honda Civic for about $10,000 to $12,000. And if you put 20% down on that for 3 years and make sure that's less than 8% of your gross income, it's going to cost you like $200 a month in your car payment. So there's ideally, and there's what I've actually done. In the beginning, I did finance a car. And today, in no way, shape, or form would I finance a car. It's just not worth it. It's something that's going to go down in value. And to me, I stick with about 2 to 3% of my gross income being paid for a car, my yearly income. So if I make $250,000 a year, I might buy a car for $30,000 to $40,000 roughly, and that is very conservative. In the beginning, though, it is okay. If you have to get a loan on your vehicle, just make sure you're getting a good vehicle. I would prefer it to be a few years old so you're not hitting all that depreciation. But this is pillar number 3, and this is the number one thing where I see people go awry is they just get way in over their head, 25, 40% of their income going to a car. So again, you can pause the video here, but this is what would happen over the course of 10 years in two different scenarios for somebody purchasing a car. So feel free to pause this. It is a massive difference, $130,000 in 10 years just by making a smart decision on your vehicle. So, pillar number four, this is the most important thing to get correct today. And this is also a huge thing. I'm certified real estate agent in the area that I live in. So I am a licensed real estate agent. I help people buy and sell houses every day. This is a huge thing that has helped me hit millionaire status in my 20s and multimillionaire status here in my 30s now is housing. Guys, this is probably going to come in maybe 2 to 3 years. If we're that person, we found a job at our big company. We're working in production, or we're starting at the bottom of the company. We're making $20 to $25 an hour. We're going to school. We're having the company pay for it. We've bought our used Honda Civic for $10 or $12,000. Hopefully, we paid cash, or we have a small loan of $200 a month for that thing. We are banking money. We should be saving, maybe $1,000, $2,000 a month. And so fast forward 2 or 3 years, you should have hopefully, let's say $30,000 saved up. And this is the cheat code. The United States makes it so easy. If you buy a house, especially a de-stressed house, put 3.5% down on an FHA loan. You'll have to pay a little bit of PMI there. That's not a huge deal. But you are trying to find a house worth, let's say, worth 400 that is listed for sale at 350. Slap them in the face with a $300,000 offer. Do that 20 times. Somebody is going to accept it. You're going to buy a house with an instant $50,000 of equity just because of that person's situation. They needed to get out of the house. Ideally, you could find something a little bit cosmetically distressed. My wife and I did this. We bought a house with purple shag carpet and wallpaper in every single room, green tile floor in the kitchen. The house was solid as a rock, completely poured concrete foundation, great roof, and everything. Inside, it would have been so embarrassing if we would have hosted Christmas there because the inside was hideous. But that's okay. We lived there for a few years. I ripped out all the tile. I ripped down the wallpaper. I painted the kitchen. I changed the floors. I fixed the light fixtures. We spent probably $10,000 to $15,000 over the course of 2 years with me doing the work myself. We bought that house for 240 and sold it for $400,000 in 2 years. Oh, and guess what? The best part? Because we lived there for 2 years, 100% tax free because the government has programs in place. It's in the tax code. If you live in your primary residence for 2 out of the last 5 years, all of your capital gains tax under 250 if you're single, under 500,000 if you're married, all of the capital gains tax under those thresholds are completely tax free. And you can rinse and repeat that every 2 years if you want to. So you have to live somewhere. If you Renting is okay for the short term if that's the situation that you're in, but this is the cheat code right here. You ha- I In today's age, it is very difficult to get ahead even if you make $100,000 a year right now. Where people go wrong is they buy a house that's move-in ready and then they spend $3,000, $4,000 a month on their move-in ready house. That they fast forward 5 years and it's only worth 20,000 more than what they paid for it, and they've only paid $10,000 down in principal. So here's what I would do, and this is what I have done. Buy a house with 3.5% down, ideally 10 or 20% down if you can afford it, but I know that's not realistic for everybody. Work on the weekends when you're not working, fix up the yard, make it up the curb appeal, fix up the garage, fix up the kitchen, just do things periodically over the course of 2 years. Let's say you buy that house for 300,000, and then at the end of 2 years, it's worth 400,000, and you put $20,000 into it. You've got $80,000 in equity in that house that you've worked for the past 2 years. And at this point, at the end of 2 years, you have two amazing options at your disposal. Option one, you can keep the option, well, really three. Option one, you can keep the house, refinance it, and pull out your $80,000 and go buy another rental property or go buy another property. Option two, you can keep the existing mortgage on the house and use that house as a rental property and rent that out to tenants. And then, now you have $2,000, maybe $3,000 a month coming in off of that property. Or option three, you can sell the property and pay zero capital gains taxes because you've lived there for more than 2 years and hopefully under your $250,000 threshold. And use that money. So now you have probably close to $100,000 that you've made in 2 years just from flipping that one house or living in that one house. And it's the law of efficiency. You have to live somewhere, and so live in a place where you can put some sweat equity in and you can make some money over time. And so I have done this, I think, 4 times now. Once when I was 18, once when I was 22, once when I was 25, and then again when I was 28. And now we live in a very nice house on 66 acres, and I will live here forever. And I'm still buying rental properties as well, on the side. But this is pillar number 4. Try to find a house that you can remodel over time. So, pillar number 5 is boring always wins. This is for investments. Once, if you're working at, let's say, Amazon or Chase Bank or one of those 500 Fortune 500 companies that we talked about earlier, make sure you're putting at least the bare minimum in your 401k to get that match. Most of these big companies have a 100% instant return. Let's say you contribute 3% into your 401k, they will give you 3% into your 401k. So you'll be able to contribute 6 for only the cost of 3%. And so that is a very difficult thing to find anywhere else except at one of these big companies. What most people are doing now, I am not an investment guru. I know a decent amount about stocks and investments, but I know enough to know that I I don't know as much as I probably should, and or enough to even feel comfortable picking individual stocks. So you can put this on autopilot and make it very easy. Contact your financial advisor, but there are indexes like the S&P 500 index. There is Charles Schwab, SCHD. There's VOO. There's very simple low cost index funds that you can invest into on a monthly basis. And it's kind of a set it and forget it mindset. It doesn't have to be a super complicated thing where you're day trading stocks every single day. I don't do that, and most of my stock net worth increase has just been over the past 13 years, setting it and forgetting it. The last thing here is once you get to the point where you don't have student loan debt, you don't have car debt, maybe you have some a house payment that you're paying each month, but to increase your tax efficiency, start maxing out your 401k. Maybe you're maxing out your HSA. You're putting in pre-tax money into some of these retirement accounts, which is going to reduce your taxable income and really start to compound your growth over time. And like I said, I really watch a lot of people on YouTube. Grant Cardone's going to tell you, oh my gosh, your money's tied up in your 401k forever until you're 59 and a half. You've got it locked in there. Guys, it's not. Like, Grant has never had a 401k in his life. You can do a 72T distribution schedule. You can do a backdoor Roth conversion. There are ways to get your money out of there. Or worst case, you pay a penalty and then pay the taxes on the money that you pull out. If you happen to be burdened by retiring early at 59 and a half. But guys, come on. Like this is how most people actually become a millionaire is through their 401k and maybe through rental properties or a business. But for most people who work a W-2 job, it is their 401k, maxing out their 401k or putting 5% in their 401k for 40 years. There's a pro tip here, guys. There are still companies out there, like the company that I work for, that offer a pension. They offer 401k, they offer a deferred compensation, they offer a pension after you work there for 5 years or 10 years or however long, depending on the company. They offer HSA, if I didn't say that. And so it is a cheat code. Like the pension, you just work there for 5 years. And for me, it's $1,500 a month for the rest of my life if I quit at 5 years. And if I work there for 30 years, it's $15,000 a month that I will receive for the rest of my life at 30 years, just because the company has a pension. And I contribute, 6% or $20,000 a year into my 401k, and I get a $20,000 match as well. So and that's not even doing anything crazy. That's just me putting the minimum into these accounts that I need to put in. So, guys, try to avoid the noise out there of people who have never had a 401k giving you advice on what to do with your 401k. My advice would be just to put money into it and get the free money that they're going to give you. It's a pretty good opportunity. But here's essentially the order of operations that I would do. So if I was starting with zero, the first thing I would do is build up to $1,000 mini emergency fund. This aligns with the Money Guy show. This aligns with Dave Ramsey. This is essentially baby step number one. For step number two, I would get the 401k match and just get the free money, whether that's 3%, 5%, 6%, whatever that is. And I would start contributing a little bit to my 401k. Number three, I would pay off all of my high interest rate debt. So if I have student loans, if I have credit cards, if I have, maybe car payments, debts that are over 4 or 5% interest, just get them paid off. This is also where I see a lot of people go wrong. They finance a car, finance student loan debt, and then they've got a $20,000, $30,000 on a credit card, and then they've got an emergency that comes up, and they make $80,000 a year, but between their house payment, their car payment, their student loan payment, their credit card payment, they've got $100 at the end of the month, assuming nothing goes wrong that month. And you can't build wealth that way. Like, I know there are advisors out there that will tell you leverage as much as you can. I would not leverage on your credit card. I would not leverage on dangerous stuff with high interest rates. I would just pay it off and completely avoid getting trapped into those areas. So number four, once I have all my high interest rate debt paid off, I would save 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. I would calculate how much I spend every night, save 3 to 6 months. If you're very conservative, 6 months. If you're, pretty okay taking a bit of risk, maybe 3 months of an emergency fund. That might be 15,000, that might be 40, $50,000, depending how much you spend and what your lifestyle's like. Step five, six, seven, I would max out my Roth IRA if I'm under the contribution limits. Step six, I would max out my HSA, $4,400 a year if I'm not married, $8,800 a year if I am married. Step seven, I'd max out my 401k. Depending how much I make, if I make over like 150, I'm probably going just a traditional 401k to get the tax advantages now. If I'm not, then making over 150, I'll probably do a Roth and then just take the hit now and I'll have to pay taxes later. Then number eight, I would start putting money. So let's say you're saving up for a house, you're doing all of this stuff. I would put money in a taxable brokerage account and maybe some money market funds that make about 4% right now. I would save up for a year or two until I get 20, 30, $40,000 saved up, and I would aggressively search for a good deal in real estate. That is going to be the number one tip of this video, is if you can find a good deal in real estate, you are going to fly past everybody else in terms of net worth. It's going to help you so much and open the door for you on so many different things. On the topic of debt, it is okay to go into debt on some things. This is where I differ from Dave Ramsey a little bit. He's somewhat lenient on getting a mortgage, which I kind of disagree in today's age of how expensive houses are and trying to stick to a 15-year mortgage rate. But that's beside the point. It is okay to get a mortgage. That is an asset that's typically going to increase in value. It is okay to get a mortgage on an investment property. Make sure it is making good returns. For me, it's a 15% cash on cash return is the threshold that I need to hit to buy a rental property. But I will get a mortgage. I have two mortgages now on two different rental properties, and they have done phenomenal. They've probably increased my net worth 500,000 over the past 5, 6 years just because I've had these two properties. And this one I put last. Education is can be okay. You need to invest in your future, but guys, if you get 50, $60,000 in student loan debt, you're digging a deep hole that it's going to be pretty hard to get out of. But again, refer back to pillar number two. Try to find a company that's going to pay for your student loans or pay for your college up front, so you can completely avoid that. And quickly here, avoid student loan debt if you can. Auto loans, try not to go over 36 months. Stick to the principle that the Money Guy Show has. That's a really good one. Avoid credit cards at all costs. They're going to destroy you with the 30% interest. And they're predatory. They just take advantage of people. And then get rid of the payday loans, the no interest financing, all of those gimmick things that seem too good to be true. It's probably because they are. So I'm going to give you guys a quick example. Here is Marcus. Marcus is 18 years old, $0 in the bank, public high school diploma. He is nothing special. He's just a normal Joe off the street, like most of us are that are listening to this video. At 18, Marcus gets hired on at Amazon. He makes $20.50 an hour. He gets those benefits I talked about. He gets a career choice tuition program where they're paying for his school. At age 19, Marcus is going to school. He enrolls in WGU, that's Western Governors University. You can take that online. It's super easy. I got my bachelor's degree from there. Guess what? That checked the box that I need to apply to those big boy jobs that make $100,000 a year. Marcus gets a degree in cybersecurity. He pays $0 out of pocket and contributes $7,000 a year into his Roth IRA at age 19. He's already killing it at age 19, just doing these couple things. And this is only two or three things. He's just checked the boxes and he's starting to build his foundation and set himself up for success. At age 20, Marcus buys a car. He buys a used Toyota Camry. He's got 50,000 miles on it. He pays $9,000 in cash. And he can now get to work and stuff, avoid the bus or avoid his mom dropping him off. And now he's able to save $700 a month because avoided high insurance. He's saving on gas and he's got no car payment. He's doing fantastic. At 22, Marcus finishes his degree. He graduates completely debt free. He's got a degree in cybersecurity. And boom, at this point, Marcus has 4 years of experience at Amazon. And guess what? They just happen to have a department in cybersecurity. And they just happen to pay entry level cybersecurity people about $80,000 a year at 22. Maybe Marcus is in the situation that I was in. The company wouldn't hire me for certain reasons because I started out too low at the company. Well, guess what? There's 50 other companies out there that are begging for people in cybersecurity to come join their team, probably at closer to $100,000 a year instead of $80,000 a year. So Marcus has some phenomenal options available to him, and he's probably built a net worth of about $50,000 over the course of these 4 years. And this is something it really snowballs that you'll see here in a second. Your net worth. At age 26, Marcus is now saving some of that 78,000 that he's making from his job here, and he gets an FHA loan for a $185,000 duplex. That's a foreclosure. He puts $7,000 down on that duplex. He lives in one side, fixes it up. He moves into the other side, fixes it up, and then rents out the other unit that he fixed up first. Now Marcus has some rental income coming in. Now Marcus has his housing paid for, even though he's got a loan on the house. He's got his house completely paid for. In 2 years, Marcus has fixed up both of those units on that duplex, and he does a cash out refinance. And so now he uses that cash out refinance and goes and buys another house. Maybe it's a lot nicer house. Maybe it's something that's not a duplex. Maybe he wants to start a family in that next house. But he's able to rent out each side of the duplex for $2,400 a month, $1,200 per side, and that thing is probably costing him about $1,200 a month. And so he's able to profit about $1,200 a month. He's able to get the tax benefits of owning an investment property. He's able to get the appreciation. He's able to get the depreciation tax benefits. There are so many benefits to this. And when he did the cash out refinance, he paid zero in taxes because you don't pay taxes when you take on debt. So, age 27, he starts maxing everything out. He is killing it. He went from $112,000 net worth at the age of 25 to $385,000 net worth at age 27. He's maxing out his 401ks. He's maxing out his HSA, his Roth. He owns 2 properties now, and he's sitting at about $400,000 in net worth. You fast forward 6 more years. It's a boring 6 years, guys. You just continue to work, continue to do your day-to-day thing. You're maxing out your accounts. Everything else after that is gravy. You can do whatever you want with it. But at age 33, Marcus crosses the $1 million mark, over 7 figures. He's got 3 properties, maybe even 4 at this point. He's a cybersecurity manager. He's making $165,000 a year at age 33, and he's already a millionaire in his 30s. And this is somewhat of a slow approach, guys. This is 15 years that it took Marcus from 18 to 33 to get to the million. You can really do a lot in a year. If you break it down, small projects each weekend, you'll be pleasantly surprised how fast things can happen. And this channel should be a testament to that as well. So here's Marcus's net worth. This is exactly how mine looked. It took me 4 years to get to the first 100,000. And then now, last month, I made over $100,000 saved on my net worth in a single month, which used to take me 4 months to do that. So things really start to compound once you hit 100,000, once you hit 500,000, once you hit 1 million, and so on. So by the time Marcus is 40, he's got about probably $2.5 million just implementing this exact same strategy. So before I let you go here, 5 main rules to take away. Pick the employer first and the job second. I know that I wish we could all work our dream jobs, but guys, in the day and age that we live in, You've got to find a company that has good benefits and they're going to set you up for success and have good opportunities. Again, go back to pillar number one, where we looked at those companies that had great opportunities to work at and that you can actually succeed in. Number two, continue to get a bachelor's degree. I know that's controversial today. I think it's still useful. Find a job that pays 200,000 a year. You probably need a bachelor's degree. I hate to say it, but don't pay for it, guys. Like, you can go work at a place and get experience at the exact same time that you're going through school. Yes, it is a bit harder than taking the press the easy button and go to school full time and take on student loan debt. It is harder. But again, if you want to actually be a millionaire in your 20s or in your 30s in 2026, you're going to have to take the hard path on some of these things. Rule number three, drive a boring car, pay cash if you can, but don't exceed 8% of your gross income on a vehicle. Try to buy a Honda Civic, a Toyota Camry, something like that that's good and reliable. It's going to last 300,000 miles. Number four, the biggest pillar of all, buy an ugly house that has good bones, live in it, fix it up, refinance it, sell it, rent it out, whatever you want. You've got options. At that point, though, that is going to be the biggest wealth generating thing that complements your W 2 income, your job at the same time, because you've got to live in a place. Guys, I'm serious. I have probably made 1.5 million of my $2 million net worth, $2.1 million net worth today just by doing tip number four here. Lastly, number five, if the company is going to offer you these great benefits, take advantage of it. Get the match from your 401k. Max out your Roth if they have one. Max out your 401k. Max out your HSA. Forget what Grant Cardone says. Max these accounts up, and you'll notice our 401ks now have about 760,000 at 31 years old, and that's maxing them out for about 6 or 7 years pretty consistently. Now, if something were to happen to me and my family, I can stop contributing to those accounts and it's still going to have 10, $20 million by the time I need it in retirement just because of the legwork that I did early on. The big thing with these accounts too, if you contribute to these accounts in your 20s, it has the Money Guy Show rule. I think they have a beer. This dollar beer is worth $88 or something like that. The opportunity that you have of 45 years of compound interest in your 20s, like every dollar you put in here is worth $88 by the time that you're 65 years old. It's craziness. So that is it, guys. That is the video. The blueprint is essentially still the same as it was 15 years ago. It's hard. You've got to be diligent. You can't take the easy path on stuff. I know, you may be going to college full time and working full time, but you make one mistake today and you buy a car that's $70,000, and that one choice today kills you. You can make 6 decisions correct and one decision, that's bad, and it's going to hurt you today. So the purpose of this video was to set yourself up for success. Feel free to check out, if you're curious on how this works or you want to see a live case study, I have 160 videos on my channel. I have been the most transparent out of any YouTuber I've ever seen in net worth tracking. And again, like I've said, I've grown my net worth from negative 4,000 at the age of 18 years old to 2.1 million in 13 years. I'm 31 today. So feel free to check that out, guys. Please comment something down below if you have questions or want to give your current perspective on things or your current situation. Happy to help. Love the comments. Thank you, guys, and I will catch you in the next video.